I think classically isolated locations are the most effective in terms of generating scares. I think it's got to be connected in some way to the antagonist. So whether it is an environment that is their home that feels creepy because they've got bits of their paraphernalia around. So I don't know, if you look back at things like Tobe Hooper films, for example, where the mise-en-scène establishes part of the character in some ways, that can work really effectively. I also think that in more recent times, I think having just sort of blank locations or modern locations can work really, really well. It's what's made sort of Japanese and Tartan Asia extreme films successful, is that idea that modern locations can still feel isolated and scary even though they are fairly new developments. Well, you've got to introduce your protagonist in a way that doesn't feel forced, I think. I think also you've just got to make it believable in some ways. I think my biggest criticism of contemporary horror is that often the narrative is so contrived that you can tell what's going to happen because it just fits that same sort of formulaic horror narrative. And so if you don't establish that your film is different within the first 20 minutes, you're going to lose me, because I've seen a lot of horror films. So it's got to feel different for me personally. I think you can I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think you can do both at the same time. You just got to be careful about how you do that. I mean, you know, Blair Witch is a case in point. It's supposed to feel like realism, even though it's based around something that's supernatural. Yeah.
Yeah.
And found footage horror films are all about that. They're supposed to feel like realism. It's not technically a horror, I suppose it's more of a thriller, but 10 Cloverfield is phenomenal in terms of mise-en-scène and establishing character, and character who is sinister. I would definitely recommend that, especially if you're trying to create that sense of it being a thriller rather than a horror genre, which I think potentially, from the sound of your idea, that's what you're trying to create. Well, it's got to be all about pace and how you use your sound effectively, I would say. And they're going to be vital to the way that you communicate mood and tone. And if you're putting jump scares in, you're not going to put a jump scare in without having effective sound work. What you want, son?
In a horror film, it has to be either quite realistic or the complete opposite, so it's really creepy, so something in the woods or something like that. But for me, I think something more realistic, like the house or something that you would see in everyday life, makes it more effective because it makes it feel more real.
Prowling 1,000 guards, money long like the Empire State or the Eiffel Tower. I like that cake. Plus, my women are goddesses. Venus statues, so erotic. Pull them in with slang melodic. You scared over there?
I think if you're going to have text and font, things like that has to be considered. So it has to be, it has to fit with the same genre. So it has to look similar to the genre of horror. So typography is quite important in terms of that. But if you were to kind of have an open sequence more so about kind of telling the story, I think to engage someone into the film, it would be good to see something in the beginning that maybe either shocks you or some surprises you or something like that, so you want to know more, so you want to carry on watching it.
Yeah, and so like for the typography, red, blood.
Yeah, but not too much so that it looks tacky. So even if it was just kind of like, I don't know, so it kind of looks like etching or something like that, so it's more creepy almost, so maybe even thin typography, so it looks a bit more like realistic, like handwriting or something like that, so it's a bit more realistic.
In this world you gotta think big. If not, everything might be shrinking. Then mommy might not even like that size. Magnum Trojans don't tell lies. I'ma
I
start.
think not knowing. So when a lot of suspense, I mean, I prefer suspense horror films more than kind of gore and everything. So I think things like kind of waiting and not knowing what's happening and the suspense and the build-up makes it's more scary because you don't want to watch it, but then you do want to watch it. So I think that's kind of much more effective than it would be if there was just blood and gore and things like that.
So less jump scares.
Yeah, definitely.
You might lose your eyes like Ellie Driver from Kill Bill. See, I been had a license to ill, but the real deal is that I'm still chill. I've been room waiting and picked the ride, saying.
It's a kind of a difficult question to ask depending on what kind of how you want to do your film. I think younger kind of target audience get scared more easier, but I think if you did aim perhaps for a higher target audience, it would be more effective because I think perhaps more mature viewers would find it harder to get scared.
Head in front for the Joneses. See, I notice you ain't focused. What you want, son? This is my game, this is my lane. Get out of the way. What you want, hun? This ain't my babe, this is my cake. Get out of my face. What you want, hun? This is my space, this is my page. Get out of my ink. What you want, huh? This is my state.
I think sound is the most important part of a horror film. If you watched a horror film and you didn't have any sound in it, it would just not be scary. So I think it's really important that you have, but depending on how you do it, maybe a slower, maybe monotone kind of sound, so it kind of keeps you on your edge and your feet. Definitely something more to build up than kind of screaming and all that kind of stuff. I think would be more effective.
Well, thank you for the interview.
Thank you.